They say the holidays are meant to bring us together. But what happens when tradition becomes control and family starts to feel more like a cage than a comfort? It was Christmas morning. I was 27 years old, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't waking up in my childhood home pretending everything was okay. Instead, I was sitting on the balcony of my future in-laws' condo in Mexico, waiting for the sunrise to climb out of the Caribbean. The ocean shimmered like melted glass. The air smelled of salt and citrus and something else, something I hadn't felt in years: peace. But even in paradise, I couldn't escape the storm, because back home, my mother had declared war. And the battlefield? Facebook. The night before, she and my sisters had taken to social media, posting just enough vague complaints and backhanded jabs to let everyone know that I was the villain this Christmas. I was the daughter who lied, the ungrateful one, the rebel who broke her promise and chose a boyfriend over family. They didn't say my name. They didn't have to. Everyone knew who they meant. I shouldn't have opened the app, but I did. And I scrolled through every post, every comment, every tiny public betrayal. At first, I just sat there. Then, I replied. I may have been a little tipsy. Maybe it was the tequila. Maybe it was the years of silence. But I wrote back, not to apologize, not to explain, to tell the truth. I told them it was ridiculous to demand that I couldn't share a room with the man I've lived with for 2 years. I reminded them that I had kept my promise not to stay at a hotel this Christmas, because I wasn't staying at a hotel. I wasn't even in the same country. I told them that if they insisted on putting our dirty laundry on Facebook for the world to see, then I would be avoiding all family visits for the foreseeable future. They deleted the posts, but the damage was already done, and the calls began. Voicemails, texts, more guilt, more blame. You made us look bad. That's what they said. But I couldn't help but ask, were they ever trying to make me look good? Let's rewind. Because this story didn't start on Christmas. It started months before, when I went home over the summer with my boyfriend. We'd been dating for almost 2 years by then. We lived together. We were committed. Marriage wasn't some distant plan. It was inevitable, just not urgent. But to my mother, none of that mattered. Because when we stayed at her house, she had one rule: no sharing a bed unless you're married. Fine. Her house. Her rules. I didn't agree, but I respected it. So we made a simple decision. We rented a hotel room nearby. A clean, quiet, neutral space where we could rest, unwind, and frankly, be treated like adults. It was a compromise. But to my mom, it was betrayal. The entire visit, she wouldn't let it go. Every conversation bent around to that one decision: the hotel, the implied shame, the disrespect. And before we left, she made me promise that I would never do that again. I gave in, maybe out of exhaustion, maybe because I still wanted her to see me as good. I said I wouldn't stay in a hotel next time, but I never promised to come back. So when the holidays came, and my boyfriend suggested we visit his parents, who had retired to a peaceful corner of Mexico, it felt like oxygen. They didn't care about holiday rituals. They weren't interested in control. They just wanted to see their son and welcome me. No judgment, no rules, no performance. We booked the trip, and I said nothing. I didn't lie. But when my mom asked me at Thanksgiving if I'd keep my promise not to stay at a hotel this Christmas, I said yes. It was the truth. I wouldn't be staying at a hotel. I wouldn't be staying with them at all. Maybe I should have told her, Maybe I should have been direct. But I knew what would happen. Weeks of pressure, guilt, manipulation disguised as concern, phone calls filled with crying, sisters texting me like soldiers deployed by the Queen. So I waited. And when the plane touched down in Mexico, I called her. Short, polite. We're here, just landed. Spending Christmas with his family this year. Silence. Then the storm began. The truth is, I didn't go to Mexico to punish anyone. I went because I needed to breathe. I went because every time I chose myself, my mother saw it as an attack. I went because I didn't want to be someone who begged for dignity in her childhood home. I wanted to be someone who lived with peace in her own skin. And that Christmas morning, watching the light stretch across the sea, I felt it. Peace. But peace never comes cheap. That Facebook post, it lit a match in a house soaked with gasoline. Suddenly, I wasn't just the daughter who skipped Christmas. I was the liar, the one who turned her back on family, the selfish one, the problem. And yet, when I replied, when I calmly stated my boundaries, pointed out their hypocrisy, they weren't angry about what I said. They were angry that other people agreed. The comments under their post didn't rush to defend them. They questioned them, challenged them, exposed the control. That's when the narrative started to crack. That's when they panicked. Delete, delete, delete. But then came the texts, dozens of them. You embarrassed us. You made us look bad. You've changed. And maybe they're right. Maybe I have changed. Maybe I'm no longer the girl who folds herself in half to keep the peace. Maybe I'm not the daughter who tiptoes around outdated expectations just to be allowed a seat at the table. I miss my dad. He's quiet, gentle. The kind of man who texts, "Merry Christmas, sweetheart," while his wife starts a fire online. He never asked me to stay in separate rooms. He never condemned the hotel, but he also didn't stop her. He didn't step in. He didn't defend me. And I don't blame him. I know what it's like to live with someone who makes the rules so loudly it drowns out your own voice. But silence can still be complicity. And I don't know how much longer I can pretend that he's not part of the structure that keeps me small. That's the cruelest part of growing up. You start to see the people you love, not just as parents, but as people. People with flaws, people with fears, people who chose to protect their comfort over your truth. So here I am, 1,000 miles away from home, wrapped in sunlight and salt air, wondering if it's possible to build a new kind of family, one that starts with me. Because maybe the real act of adulthood isn't demanding respect. It's choosing peace, choosing joy, choosing yourself. Even when it breaks someone else's script. Even when it makes you the villain in their story. So, am I the asshole? This is the AITA Story Vault. And here's what I see. I see a woman learning that silence is not the same as respect. And that family doesn't get a pass to mistreat you just because they share your blood. I see someone wrestling with boundaries, not out of cruelty, but out of survival. And I see a generation waking up to the realization that the old rules don't work anymore. You don't earn love by shrinking. You don't prove your worth by obeying, and you are not selfish for wanting peace. So here's the question for you watching now. Have you ever had to disappoint someone just to protect yourself? Have you ever chosen freedom over tradition? Drop a comment below. Tell us what boundaries you've had to set and what it cost you. Because this isn't just one woman's story. This is what it means to grow up, to stand tall in the face of guilt, and to finally say, I choose me.